Welcome to the Ageless Woman Podcast, where modern science meets timeless self-care for limitless vitality. I'm Dr. Cindy Groh, a board-certified nurse practitioner and the founder of My Venus Club. This is a space for women who are ready to understand what's actually happening in their bodies and finally get real answers. If you've been told your labs are normal, that this is just a part of aging, or that you just need to try harder, and if you've sat through those 15-minute appointments left with just another prescription to manage symptoms, or maybe feel like you've lost a part of yourself, you're in the right place. Before we begin, just a quick note. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended to replace personalized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your healthcare provider regarding your individual health needs. Here we go deeper. We connect the dots between your hormones, your metabolism, your genetics, and your lifestyle so you can stop guessing and start feeling like yourself again. So let's get started. On today's podcast, I want to pull back the curtain and have a very honest conversation about why My Venus Club is built the way it is. Because I know when women first hear about precision medicine, advanced testing, hormone optimization, genetics, epigenetics, Dutch testing, heart disease monitoring and management, nutrition, movement, cellular health, structured programs, they're wondering, why is it set up this way? Why are the programs several months long? Why does it include all this testing, supplements, management, and visits? Why does it cost more than a typical office visit? Why can't I just get a hormone prescription, a few labs, and be done with it? And those are really fair questions. So today I really want to answer them from my heart and also from my many years of experience, because My Venus Club was not built just to be another wellness program. It was built because I kept seeing women falling through the cracks in our current healthcare system. Women who are really smart, motivated, successful, but yet exhausted and frustrated. They knew they were doing everything right, putting in their best efforts, but still being told, oh, your labs are normal and it's just a part of aging, or they're told this is part of menopause. Some of them were told to eat less, exercise more. Some were even told to take antidepressants, maybe sleeping pills. And I just kept thinking, this is just wrong and it's not enough. Women deserve so much more than, hey, you're fine, or hey, let's just manage this disease once it gets diagnosed. Women really deserve true prevention, and that's what exists with My Venus Club. Before I talk about the programs, I want to talk about why this matters so much to me. Again, I've spent more than 30 years in healthcare. I've worked in family practice, cardiology, the hospital systems, home health, integrative wellness, telehealth, education, and administration. I've seen medicine from many angles, and I'm deeply grateful for medicine. Traditional medicine saves lives, but I've also seen where it fails women, and I've lived some of that myself. I know what it feels like to move through midlife and realize, hey, your body's changing in ways that no one really prepared us for. I know what it feels like to want those answers, not just reassurance. I know what it feels like to have that family history that makes prevention so very personal. When we see our loved ones go through heart disease or cancer, changes with their brain, Alzheimer's, loss of their strength and mobility, all of those things, they affect you in such a way that is life-changing. And these are not abstract topics for me. This work is not just clinical that I do, it's very personal. And I think that's why I connect so deeply with the women who come to My Venus Club, because many of them are exactly who I have been at different stages of my life. A woman who's doing everything for everyone else, a woman who's looking like she's holding it together, but oftentimes just exhausted underneath. Someone who's very successful, but just doesn't feel like herself, who knows that something is not quite right, that things are just a little off, but everything might look normal on the outside. A woman who's finally saying, I'm ready to understand my body. I'm ready to invest in myself. I'm ready to stop guessing and get the answers that I need to really make the right decisions for myself. That woman is really why I built my Venus Club. And I'm so passionate about it. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not anti-traditional medicine at all. Traditional medicine is so essential. It's life-saving for emergencies, surgery, acute illness, many procedures, and sometimes like advanced disease management is very critical. But there's a gap, and that gap is where so many women often live. That's the space between your labs are normal and now you have a diagnosis. And that space can last years, sometimes decades. And this is where women oftentimes start feeling exhausted or inflamed, start to gain that belly fat, lose muscle mass, not sleeping well. They start to feel like they have brain fog or anxiety, losing their libido and vitality, having mood changes, struggling with painful periods, hot flashes, insulin resistance, just that inability to just lose weight. Thyroid starts to have dysfunction, cardiovascular risk increases, risk for osteoporosis, bone density starts to decline. And sometimes it's not fully shown itself yet, but those changes are subtle and you're starting to feel them over time. And because you don't essentially meet the criteria for disease, not much is done to really help educate women and empower them to minimize their risk for disease, to reverse anything that may be subtly starting. And that's what I want to focus on because that's real prevention. Identifying things before they happen, potential things, potential causes that may be festering, that may be underneath, that we just haven't really seen, but we're having these subtle changes and subtle symptoms. Sometimes we don't even feel the symptoms, but we don't want to wait until symptoms arise or when they're severe enough, or even wait until disease declares itself and sets in. That's not prevention. That's delayed reaction. That's not proactive. That's reactive medicine. And women deserve so much more than that. And this is one of the most important distinctions around what I do at my Venus Club. And I want women to understand health insurance is absolutely not health care. And early detection is not the same thing as prevention. Early detection means we're looking for disease early, and that matters. Mammograms matter, colonoscopies matter, pap smears matter, checking blood pressure matters. Screening is really important, but early detection is still looking for disease once it's already begun. Prevention actually asks a different question and looks at different things. It asks, why is the body moving toward disease in the first place? What are the root causes? What's going on at the cellular level? What's driving inflammation? What's happening with insulin? What's happening with the hormones? What's happening with your adrenals? The stress physiology going on in your body, your muscle mass, muscle loss, your risk for heart disease. What's going on at the cellular level? How is your body aging? What is your biological age? What's happening years before disease shows up? That's really the conversation we want to start. And that's really what we want to start to look at. And I believe this is really what every woman deserves. And I don't want to wait until a woman has diabetes to care about her insulin. And I don't want to wait until she has heart disease to care about her vascular health. I don't want to wait till she has osteoporosis to care about her muscle, protein, hormones, and bone health. We don't want that to happen. We want to get proactive. And I absolutely don't want to wait until a woman gets a diagnosis for cancer to start focusing on her sleep, inflammation, and the foundations of cellular health, which is so critically important. Prevention is not waiting for disease and catching it early. Prevention is understanding your biology, your biological terrain, so to speak, long before disease takes root. That's why my Venus Club is built around precision medicine, and that's why I do what I do and built my Venus Club the way I did. Precision medicine means stop guessing. We stop giving every woman the same plan of care, too. We stop treating fatigue and weight gain, brain fog and low libido and poor sleep, inflammation, as if they all came from the same cause, because oftentimes they don't come from the same cause. One woman may be tired because her cortisol rhythm is dysregulated. Another woman may be tired because she's under eating and over exercising. Another may have insulin resistance and a little bit of weight gain. Another one might have low progesterone and she's not sleeping well. Another woman could have thyroid dysfunction, which is driving a multitude of symptoms. And another woman might have accelerated aging and maybe even cancer, really pinpointing poor cellular health. And many women really have several patterns happening at the same time. That's why generic plans fail. They're built for the average woman, but the average woman does not exist. Every woman's biology is specific. Her daily stress and stress history is individual and specific for her. Her hormones are very specific and individualized. Your genetics, epigenetics, your gut health, your sleep system, your muscle mass, your inflammation, your lifestyle, your goals, your health goals, and your family history. They're all individualized and specific for each woman. That's why precision medicine tells you, and hey, let's understand you, and you alone, not your girlfriend, not your sister, not the woman in the textbook, but you. And this is why my Venus Club is structured based on the Venus pathway, because women are so dynamic and our bodies change every year and every season of our life. We can't address everything in one quick visit. Real transformation takes time. Metabolism takes time to shift, muscle takes time to build, and hormones take time to stabilize and optimize. When inflammation takes hold in our body, it takes time to identify the root cause and calm that inflammation and stop that inflammation. Sleep takes time to restore. Getting those sleep cycles where we transition from REM sleep to light sleep to deep sleep, back to light sleep, and then back to REM sleep, and getting those good sleep cycles over a solid 8 hours of sleep time, it takes time to restore that once it gets disrupted. The nervous system takes time to get back to where it trusts what's going on in your body and calms down. And then cellular health, which is foundational for our health in general, that takes time to support it, to give it what it needs, to make sure that each cell membrane, the integrity of that membrane is optimal, the flexibility, and all the receptors are as healthy as can be. That all takes time to support that and to build that. Healthy habits take time to develop and identify what's needed. That's why I created the Venus Pathway, because women don't need another random collection of labs, supplements, workouts, and prescriptions. They need an individualized system. And at my Venus Club, we look at the whole woman, mind, body, and spirit. We look at hormones, metabolism, inflammation, stress, gut health, heart disease risk, muscles, sleep, nutrition, movement, cellular health, biological aging, mindset. We look at consistency. We look at prevention, because none of those things live in isolation. Hormones aren't separate from metabolism. Stress isn't separate from inflammation. Sleep is not separate from weight and metabolism. Muscle is not separate from driving health span and longevity, and gut health is tied very strongly to mood. It is not separate. And cellular health, it's not separate from vitality as a whole. It is absolutely foundational. Everything is connected. So our programs are designed to really connect the dots. And I want to explain why we use advanced testing, because this is one of the biggest differences between my Venus Club and conventional care. We're not testing just to test. We're testing to create an individualized biological map, because you can't optimize what you don't understand. Everyone starts with genetic testing, and depending on the program and the woman's needs and goals, we look at epigenetics, we look at hormone metabolism and detoxification, we look at cortisol rhythm, advanced cardiac testing, looking at risk for heart disease, insulin patterns, inflammation markers, and then most importantly, cellular health, because again, cellular health is foundational. So nutrient status, body composition, biological aging markers, inflammatory markers, toxic burden and overload. These are all tests not about overwhelming women with data, but really helping them to see patterns early on and understand each woman's biology and what her body truly needs. We want to understand this before symptoms become disease, before risk becomes a crisis, so to speak, and before normal becomes a missed opportunity. When a woman sees her data and finally says, yes, that explains why I feel this way, that is so powerful, because clarity changes everything. Many women come to my Venus Club because they want help with hormones, and hormones matter deeply. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, thyroid, insulin, cortisol. They influence how women sleep, think, feel, burn fat, build muscle, recover, age, connect, and just thrive in life. But hormones aren't the whole story. Hormones are messengers, and the cells have to receive the messages. That's where cellular health really becomes so important, because you can have the right hormone message, but if cellular environment is inflamed and stressed, nutrient depleted, insulin resistant, toxic, or metabolically overwhelmed, that message may not be received the way we want it to be received. Think of it like this: hormones are the signal, the cells are the receivers. If the receivers are inflamed and exhausted and undernourished, the signal may not land well. And that's why some women can start hormones and still say, I feel a little bit better, but I still don't feel like myself. Because the question's not only, do you have enough hormone? The deeper question is, can your cells use and receive the message correctly? That is why at my Venus Club, we care so much about cellular health. We're looking at the environment your hormones are landing in. Are your cells inflamed? Is your blood sugar stable? Is the insulin signaling working? Are the mitochondria producing energy well? Are you building and maintaining muscle properly? Are you getting enough protein and nutrients? Are you sleeping deeply enough to repair and recover? Are you clearing toxins and hormones efficiently from your body? Is your nervous system living in survival mode? And is your body constantly fighting inflammation? Because vitality is not created at the hormone level. Vitality is created at the cellular level. Your energy is cellular. Your metabolism is cellular. Your inflammation is cellular. Your aging process is cellular. Everything happens at the cellular level. And this is why we don't just prescribe and pray. We don't just give hormones and hope for the best. We look at the system. Hormone therapy may be appropriate, peptides may be appropriate, GLP-1 therapy may be appropriate, and supplements may be appropriate, but none of them replace the foundations, and none of them work their best when the body is undernourished, inflamed, sleep deprived, overstressed, and metabolically unstable. If a woman is inflamed and insulin resistant, underfueled, sleep deprived, constipated, stressed, loss of muscle mass, and just living in survival mode, she may not respond the way she wants to respond, not because the treatment is always wrong, but because the terrain needs support. This is why we focus on nutrition and muscle and blood sugar and sleep and stress and gut health and detoxification, and then ultimately mitochondrial function and cellular resilience. Because when you improve the cellular environment, the body can respond differently. Hormones communicate better, metabolism becomes more flexible, energy improves, inflammation calms down, muscle builds, recovery improves, and the woman begins to feel like herself again. Not because we chased one symptom or another, but because we supported the system that creates vitality, and it starts at the cellular level. And that's the difference at my Venus Club. Hormones are a part of the conversation, but cellular health is the foundation of the conversation, because it's not just about replacing what's low, it's optimizing how your body functions. And that's how we help women move from symptom management to true vitality, prevention, and health span. Now I want to talk about the elephant in the room, something many women think but maybe not say out loud: the cost. I want to speak directly to the woman who is listening and thinking, this sounds like what I need, but I'm not sure I can justify the investment. I understand that, I really do. I know that precision medicine, advanced diagnostics, longer visits, a full clinical team, personalized planning, nutrition guidance, movement support, hormone optimization, and ongoing accountability cost a lot more than a rushed office visit. And I do not take that lightly. But I also want to lovingly challenge the way women have been taught to think about investing in themselves, because many women will spend thousands of dollars on Botox, fillers, lasers, facials, hair appointments, skincare, and procedures designed to help them look good and feel younger. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in wanting to look good and everything. I want that myself. I do that myself. I love looking and feeling younger and looking and feeling good. But we have to be honest. Botox does not improve your insulin sensitivity. Lasers don't help you build muscle. Fillers don't lower inflammation. And facials don't improve your heart disease risk or cellular health. A skincare routine doesn't restore your sleep or balance your hormones, protect your bones, or support your brain, or even change how fast you're biologically aging. Those things may change what you see in the mirror, and often it's for a very short time, but they don't necessarily change what's happening underneath. And that's where I want women to pause and think. Because the question's not, do I deserve to look good? Because of course we do. We all deserve to look good. The question is, am I investing as much in my vitality and health span as I'm investing in my appearance? Am I investing in the body that has to carry me through the next 20, 30, 40, or 50 years? Am I investing in my muscle, my metabolism, my hormones, my heart, my brain, my bones, my sleep, my mood, my energy, my confidence, my cellular health, and my future independence? Because that's what my Venus Club is all about. I know precision medicine is an investment. I know advanced diagnostics, longer visits, the team support, the personalized planning, the ongoing care, the accountability. I understand that women have to make a thoughtful decision about where they invest. But I also want to reframe this, because many women have spent years under investing in their health, not because they don't care, but because they've been conditioned to put investment of themselves last and think that their healthcare insurance is giving them the healthcare they need. They end up paying for everyone else first. They wait until symptoms are unbearable. They try cheaper things one, two, five, 10 times. They buy supplements without a plan. They get basic labs from a provider who tells them everything looks good, recommends maybe some Xanax or Ambien, or worse, birth control, and tells them eat less and do more cardio. They jump from provider to provider. They spend money on quick fixes, diets, programs, injections, prescriptions. and products that just don't connect the dots. And still, they don't get the results they want and they don't feel well, which has a big cost too. Exhaustion has a cost. Brain fog has a cost. Poor sleep has a cost. Muscle loss has a cost. Insulin resistance has a cost. Heart disease has a big cost. And losing years of vitality, well, that's priceless. So when women ask, why does this cost what it costs? I want them to understand what they're actually receiving. They're not paying for a quick visit. They're investing in a clinical partnership, advanced diagnostics, professional interpretation of everything, personalized strategy, hormone and metabolic insights, nutritional guidance, movement support, very personalized, lifestyle planning, all individualized, prevention focused care, accountability, and ongoing support from the whole team at My Venus Club, and a plan built around their specific biology. That's very different from a 15-minute appointment and a handout and maybe a prescription. And I don't say that to pressure anyone. I say that with passion, with heart and care for every woman listening. My Venus Club is not for every woman, I understand that. But for the woman who is ready, for the one who knows she needs and wants answers, who wants to protect her future health, who wants to stop guessing, and who's willing to participate in her own transformation, this investment will be life-changing. Because the goal is not just to feel better for a few weeks, the goal is to build vitality that lasts your lifetime. The programs at My Venus Club work because they connect what most care models separate. And I want to pause here because this is not just clinical for me. I've said that before. This is deeply personal. I lost my mom and my grandmother early and suddenly to cardiovascular disease. And when you lose women you love that way, it changes how you see health. It changes how you see prevention. It changes how you see time. Because heart disease doesn't usually begin the day something catastrophic happens. It builds quietly and silently in the background through inflammation, insulin resistance, stress, hormonal shifts, metabolic dysfunction, vascular changes, and years of the body trying to communicate that something is just off. And too often we wait until the event, and we wait until the diagnosis or until the visit to the emergency room. We wait until the body finally forces everyone to pay attention. And that's never sat well with me. And over the years, I've seen that pattern for so many women at so many angles. I've cared for women in hospital settings during acute illness. I've seen women lose their independence and move to assisted living. I've seen women go from assisted living to a deep decline, meaning they need to move into memory care, and then ultimately hospice care. I've sat with adult children trying to make the impossible decisions. I've heard the stress in their voices and I've seen the exhaustion in their face. I've watched families try to balance the love, the guilt, the responsibility, finances, the grief, the caregiving. It's an emotional roller coaster. And when you see that again and again, you cannot unsee it. You start to understand that health is not just about today's lab result. Health is about how we live, how we age, how we preserve our independence, how we protect our brain and our heart, how we maintain our muscle and stay strong to participate in our own lives, and how we reduce the burden on people we love. I knew deeply in my heart that I never wanted to be a stressor or a burden on my family. If there were things I could do now to support my future health and wellness, I want to be here with vitality. I don't want to just be here. I want to be living and playing and laughing, traveling, holding and playing with my grandbabies, and walking into the next decade with strength and clarity, energy and purpose. I really want to enjoy why I'm here on this earth. And I want that for every woman who chooses that for herself. That's why I built My Venus Club, because it's not about chasing youth. It's not about vanity. It's not about trying to be 30 again. It's about protecting the woman we're becoming as we move through seasons of our lives. It's about asking better questions earlier. It's about not waiting until disease actually sets in and defines the conversation. It's about understanding the risk patterns before they become life altering events. And it's about seeing heart health, brain health, muscle health, hormone health, metabolic health, and cellular health as one connected story within our body, because they are connected. The heart is not separate, the brain isn't separate, muscles, stress, cellular health. It's all connected. It's all connected to our vitality. And this is why my Venus Club works. Not because there's one magic test, not because there's one magic supplement or prescription, hormone cream, peptide, or GLP-1. It works because we combine the important genetic data, hormone data, heart disease data, epigenetic data, all the clinical data we get. We combine that personalized data for each woman, and we have a strategy. And then we have clinical oversight. I'm looking at everything intimately. We provide lifestyle support and accountability. And it works because we look at the whole woman, mind, body, spirit, and her goals. And it works because we connect all those dots. And when women finally see the full picture, they stop blaming themselves, they start understanding, they start getting the answers that they need, and they realize their body has been communicating, and they understand what their body is communicating now. They just needed to listen a little differently, and they needed to understand how to listen. And that's what's been missing for so many women. They haven't been given the pieces that they need. They're given a lab, but not with much explanation, a prescription here and there with not much explanation, maybe a diet plan. It's usually generic supplements, and then a diagnosis, maybe some screening and a rushed visit. But no one has stepped back and said, let's look at the whole story. Let's look at your personal biology. And that's what we do at my Venus Club. We look at the whole story and what your body is telling us. We look at your hormones, again, your inflammation, metabolism, your stress physiology, your muscles, your heart disease risk, your gut health, your cellular health, and your biological aging. Because my goal isn't just to help women feel a little better. My goal is to help women change the trajectory of how they age. I want them to optimize their vitality and feel amazing. I want them to feel strong, have a clear and healthy mind, and stay independent, be happy and healthy, and just enjoying life to the fullest. To help a person really be able to enjoy and thrive every single day of their life, that's what matters to me so much, because I've seen what happens when prevention starts too late and it's not a good picture. And I've seen what happens when women finally understand her body and begins to take ownership of her health, and it's amazing. She changes, her energy changes, confidence, her choices change, her future changes, and sometimes her whole family changes because she decides her health really matters. And that's the heart of my Venus Club, making you a priority, making you matter, and helping you optimize your vitality and your health span. Not quick fixes, not symptom chasing, not waiting for disease to set in, a deeper way to care for women before the crisis, a better way to really help women live with strength, vitality, purpose, and freedom. So as we close today, I want you to remember this. Your health is not something to put on the back burner until something goes wrong. Your vitality is not a luxury. Your energy, your strength, your hormones, your metabolism, your heart and brain, your muscles, they all matter now, not someday, not when the labs finally look bad enough, not when disease gets a name, now. Because prevention is not early detection. Prevention is understanding your body before disease has the opportunity to define your life. That is why I built my Venus Club, to help women stop guessing, to help women start connecting the dots, to help women understand what is happening underneath the surface, and help them build vitality, protect health span, and age with strength, clarity, confidence, and purpose. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this episode, it's this. You're not failing. Your body is definitely not broken. Your symptoms are information. And when you understand your body, you can finally start partnering with her instead of fighting her. So keep building the foundations, keep prioritizing protein, keep building muscle, keep protecting your sleep, keep stabilizing your blood sugar, keep walking, lifting, hydrating, managing stress. Keep choosing the habits that support the woman you are becoming, because those foundations are not small things, they are the things. They're how we build vitality. They're how we support hormones and protect our metabolism. It's how we age powerfully. And before I go, I want to invite you to something really special. This Sunday, July 12th, from 4 to 6 p.m., we're hosting our Women's Wellness Gathering at Barren Creek Vineyard, downtown Ocala. And we're getting uncorked, so to speak. We're clear, we're getting connected to our authentic self. It'll be an intimate woman's conversation about getting unstuck and gaining clarity, reconnecting with who you truly are, and stepping into the next chapter with more intention, confidence, and purpose. Because health is not just about labs, it's not just about hormones, it's not just about what we eat or how we move. It's also about how we live and think and trust ourselves, how we listen to the quiet voice that says, there's more out there for me. So join us at Barron's Creek on July 12th from 4 to 6. To reserve your seat, just DM me on Instagram or Facebook and bring your questions, bring your heart, bring part of you that's ready to get clear. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring about your health. Thank you for being willing to look deeper. And thank you for being part of this movement of women who are no longer waiting for permission to feel strong, vibrant, clear, and fully alive. Because building your foundation, that's where it starts. Keep listening to your body and keep remembering you can't optimize what you don't understand. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to share it with someone who may need to hear it also. And if you're ready to start understanding your body on a deeper level and getting the clarity you deserve, you can learn more about my Venus Club at myvenusclub.com. We offer a limited number of memberships for women who are ready to take a more personalized, in-depth approach to their health. So apply for a membership. There's no pressure, just an opportunity to start a different kind of conversation, one that focuses on you, your body, and what you truly need. Because once you understand your body, everything changes. I'll see you in the next episode.